Hello again, artists. We're on day 108 today, and I'm going to start doing some drawing for this exercise that we're doing of putting a drawing onto canvas. So I'm going to whiz through the drawing quickly. I hope I do a decent job of it this time. Alrighty, artists, now we get to the interesting part. I've really sprayed this full of fixative, and I'm just checking now to make sure that it's well fixed. I'm not getting any charcoal on my fingers. Seems fine. Now we're going to cut the paper. Now I'm going to cut it on the outside line, because I want to include the wraparound part. Okay, let's go through the materials that we're going to need. We're going to need a brush, we're going to need a roller, we're going to need some wallpaper glue, we're going to need a glass with a bit of water, or a tub of sorts with a bit of water, and something to stir with. Now, this wallpaper glue, I just got it at the hardware store. It's just your average wallpaper glue. Now, don't bother to follow the instructions on the back, because the way they tell you to mix it, it's going to be a lot thicker than what you're going to need. Okay, now it's starting to get a little bit jellified. So we'll let that stand for 2 minutes. Doesn't have to stand for very long. Let's move these out of the way. Now we're going to come to our drawing. Now, and there's our canvas. Okay, now, like I said, I really fixed this well, because I'm now going to have to turn it over, and I'm going to paint the wallpaper glue on the back of it, so the charcoal must be well fixed. And you see the consistency of the glue, quite watery still. Now, why am I using wallpaper glue? Well, I've never tried any other kind of glue, but my theory is that wallpaper glue was designed for paper to be stuck onto walls, so I figure it will probably be the best in terms of the longevity of your work. And like I say, that painting that I showed you yesterday, or that drawing should I say, that I showed you yesterday, has been around for a good few years. It's got no spots and blemishes, there's no yellowness seeping through. And I think that's probably got a lot to do with the fact that we used the right kind of glue. Right, now we'll just put our paper aside for a bit, and we're going to do the same to our canvas. And now I'm going to put my canvas onto my paper. And what I need to do is just make sure that I've got it well centralized onto. Oh, how's that? What a fluke. That was purely by accident. Right, then the next thing we're going to do is just roll it out. I'm just squeezing the excess glue to the edges of the paper, or of the canvas, whichever way we want to look at it. I don't really want to rub it with my hands because I don't want to damage it, that's why I'm rolling it. And we turn it back over again. Give it an extra rub. Right, now where's my knife? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the corners straight out. Now I'm not sliding my canvas on the table because I don't want to scratch my drawing, so I'm picking it up and turning it around. Right, now when we fold over here, we're going to squeeze from the bottom up. For the same reason, any excess glue must be squeezed up. And wrap the corner around the edge there. It's like gift wrapping. Now, these corners aren't glued yet. I will sort that out. Right, now I'm going to come into the corners with some additional glue. And really lather it on. I suppose you can't really have too much glue. Now, this is the part, if you remember yesterday I was talking to you about needing to use lightweight paper, and this is actually the part where the lightweight paper comes in quite, where it becomes quite important, because if your paper is too heavy, then this doesn't work very well, because the paper doesn't want to sort of stick very well. There is another reason, and I'll get to that in a minute. But this definitely works much better if you've got lightweight paper, because you sort of want to saturate the paper here. Nothing like getting your hands full of glue. I'll tell you something, if you're squeamish about glue, you won't be after this. Your hands are all sticky. I think the best instruments we have sometimes for things like this is our own two hands. Right. So that is well stuck. Now I'll just trim that extra bit off. If you remember, I did 7 instead of 6. Okay, now if I lie the canvas flat on the table, that's likely to get stuck on the table. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put something, anything, underneath it, just to lift it up off the table. Now I'm not putting any glue on the front of the canvas, but I really don't mind putting it on the side. I don't need any on the front. That's going to get varnished anyway, and that process we will go through tomorrow, because this is now going to take 24 hours to dry. Now, you might, depending on the paper that you use, you might find that at this stage your paper becomes quite wrinkly. Now, please don't worry about that. A lot of the canvases that I've mounted like this, in fact even my very first one that I mounted like this, the paper went extremely wrinkly. The paper stretches a little bit because you've made it wet, but as it dries it's going to shrink again, so those wrinkles will dry out, you know, smooth. I'm being careful not to get glue onto the front of the canvas. Okay, so I'm now going to leave this canvas to dry overnight. It's going to have to be left for 24 hours for the glue to properly dry before we can do anything with it. While we wait for this to dry, let me just show you this. Now this, you might recognize this canvas. This was a drawing that I did for a tutorial way earlier in the Epic Journey. This one I did yesterday. As an example, like I was telling you about whether or not your paper wrinkles at this point, this one was very wrinkled yesterday, and today it's actually dried really well and smooth. So this one is ready for the next step. So there you have it. This is phase 2 of the mounting a drawing to canvas, and I'll see you tomorrow for phase 3, which will be our final phase, which is the varnishing process, after which it will be completely waterproof and ready to hang. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope that so far you've learned something new, and I will see you tomorrow in day 109. Thanks for joining me. Do the whole liking and sharing thing, please. Thank you. Bye. That's what you want to do.